make sure you surround yourself with people who want the best for you, and more importantly, people who are going to hold you accountable. I remember when I was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma cancer, I was 15 years old, and I was always healthy as a child, right? I never had any issues, and then all of a sudden I find out that I'm 2 weeks away from death. Good day, family. Beautiful day out here. So you know I'm on this walk, and I always just try to get out here, hit the rays, and taste the air. So I wanted to come on here today and have a conversation that was inspired by a conversation that I just had with a teammate of mine, and she just lost her grandmother, and so she was sharing what the challenges have been that way with just losing her grandmother, feeling like her grandmother knew that it was time, right? Because of all of the things that she did. And we had a great conversation about that. And one of the things that I shared with her was, first off, it came to my mind because I remember when I was diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma cancer, I was 15 years old, and I was always healthy as a child. I never had any issues. And then all of a sudden I find out that I'm 2 weeks away from death. And you can only imagine what that was like for me. But at that time, it really taught me that no day was promised, because I was always healthy as a child. I played basketball, football, track, dance squad. Like anybody who came encounter with me, I was always a happy-go-lucky kid. It was normal, right? And then all of a sudden I find out that there's a possibility that I might not be going home. And you can only imagine, obviously, how I was taking that all in. I was just like, and you never know if you're ever going to hear the words that you're in remission. You pray for it, but a doctor can't ever tell you that, because obviously that's very risky. So they say, we're going to do everything that we can, right? And so it just got me to thinking, and I was like, wow, once we, as you get older, if you are lucky enough to live past 60, 65 years old, of course you're feeling blessed. But at the same time, you start to think like, what if today is my last day? And so I shared that with her, and I was like, man, I think once I would probably say 60 years old, what I'll probably do is start a podcast. Not start a podcast, but I would create, because I already have a podcast. But I would create an episode, and the episode would be really going out to my kids, my grandkids, on what exactly I wanted them to know. And so that also sparked the idea of, if I was talking to my 20-year-old self again, what would I want him to know? And so maybe for someone like you right now, you're thinking like, man, maybe I might be on my last leg. I don't really know. Obviously, I'm going to fight the good fight, right? But what are the things that I would want my younger self to know? What are the things that I would want my kids to know? What are the things that I would want my grandbabies to know, right? And so that got me to thinking, and that's where this video is going to go today. I'm going to use this as the top 20 things that I would share with my 20-year-old self if I could go do it all over again, and I just needed them to know, here's what life's gonna be like. So we'll jump right on into it. Number 1, don't be afraid to take risks. Right? Make sure it's a calculated risk, but you can't be afraid to take risks. A lot of the times when you're younger, you feel like, man, I'm so early on. I just graduated high school. Maybe I just graduated college, and everybody's so excited of me. They're so proud of me, and I can't afford to mess up. I can't afford to let them down. So I can't afford to take these risks. But I'll tell you, it's never going to get any easier to take those risks. It's never going to get easier to be able to go and build a life by your design. The more you take risks when you're younger, the more you have the opportunity for a bigger reward. Why? Is because of compound interest. And you want to make sure that those are the things that you're focused on. The other thing that I want you to know is it's easier to bounce back when you're younger. Why? Is because people love an entrepreneur story. And if you're 20 years old and you say, man, I've already started 3 businesses, they didn't work, but here's why they didn't work. Here's the game plan that I didn't have. Here's how I'm coming back and I'm re-optimizing on the second one. I'm telling you, if you tell a banker that, you tell any successful person that, they're going to be so proud of you that they're now invested in your journey and they want to help you become successful, right? So again, take as many risks as you can. The younger you are, the easier it is to be able to bounce back from it. Second thing is, make sure you pursue whatever excites you, right? One of the quotes that I always say whenever I'm talking is from a Drake song. It says, "The moment I stop having fun with it, I'll be done with it." I think as a kid, you're just coming off of the backside of high school. And for most people, not all, but for most people, they don't love high school and all of the work that comes along with it. So you go from this journey of being a kid, where a young kid, toddler, baby, you have no responsibilities, right? To all of a sudden, then you get thrown into high school and you have these responsibilities. College, you have even more responsibilities. And then after a while, you find yourself just saying, man, like this all sucked. These last 4 years, they weren't that. Like now I'm an adult, and you're going in with a negative mindset. So now you have to, at the age of 20, when you say, okay, I can pursue whatever I want, as long as it's a calculated risk, what else do I need to do? You have to figure out what excites you, and you have to go after that thing, right? And don't worry about the fear of the unknown. Why? Is because everything that you've attempted up to this point, most likely it was unknown, right? But you didn't allow that to stop you. Regardless if you had a parent who's attempted that before, or you never had anybody who's attempted this before, you still have an opportunity to be able to show yourself who you are. And the easiest way to do this is to build the habits and the foundation and the mindset when you're in your 20s. So go after something that truly excites you. Third, make sure you surround yourself with people who want the best for you, and more importantly, people who are going to hold you accountable. Here's what I mean. When you surround yourself, and I'm not talking about the friends and the family, right? Friends and the family, they've always loved you. What I'm talking about is early on in your network, as you start to become the person who you desire to be in life, right? So as you start to do that, I want you to always thinking about who are the people who I'm constantly in talks with every single day, right? So this could be a business partner, this could be a mastermind group, this could be your coworkers. Who are the people who I'm constantly in talks with every single day, that I'm sharing my ideas with, right? And that's truly speaking life into me. They're not talking to me about any limitations. They're telling me, hey, the only limitation that you have is the limitation in your mind. They're sharing with me and exposing me to different books, different podcasts, different YouTube channels. All they want is the best for me, and they won't settle for anything less. Those are the people who I'm doing it for. And if you don't have those people, okay, well, I need to figure out, what are the books that inspire me? If there's a book on personal development or business or SaaS or anything like that that inspires me, I have to look that up on YouTube. I have to figure out, who are the other people that are also interested in this? Is there any conferences going on around this? Is there any summits going on around this? These are all the things that I want you thinking about, because those are going to be the things that allow you to really be able to create a community. So surround yourself around people who not only want the best for you, but hold you accountable and speak life into you. Number 4 is get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Now, the way that I like to think about this is, think about when you are going through puberty. If you have any kids that are going through puberty, right now CJ's going through it, and he's having knee pains. Why? Is because his growth plates in his knees are breaking, but that's needed for him to be able to grow, get taller. And so you got to be uncomfortable, or you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you know that yes, there's going to be some chaos, there's going to be some discomfort, but that means at the end of the day, you're stretching yourself. And for you to be able to go after your highest potential, you have to be willing to stretch yourself. You have to be willing to stretch your body, and more importantly, you have to be willing to stretch your mind. You got to be willing to expand out of your comfort zone, so you could truly know that you're living in your purpose and you're being the best version of yourself. Number 5 is you have to invest in yourself. I made a video a long time ago, this was years ago, but one of the best investments that I ever learned was the investment into myself, into my own mind. That means when I first started on my journey, I had to read books, I had to listen to podcasts, I had to watch YouTube videos, I had to figure out how to put my mind in a state of growth. And if you don't invest into yourself, that means that at the end of the day, you'll never truly know your potential, because a mind, once it's expanded, it can never go back to its original state. One of the best quotes that I ever learned is, your level of success will never exceed your level of personal development. That doesn't come if you don't invest into yourself, because that's the best investment you could ever make. It's not real estate, it's not stocks, it's not crypto, it's the investment into yourself. Next up, we got health is wealth. You see me out here taking these walks every single day. Why? Because there's something about the energy that everybody needs that comes from just getting natural sunlight, right? For me, I love taking these walks. It's something that allows me to put my mind at peace. It's something that allows me to gather my thoughts. Whatever you need to do to be able to put yourself on a frequency and a state of mind that lets you focus on the positive things in the world, and also how you can do better, how you can be better, and how you can have more so you can be able to give more. That's the thing that you got to be focused on. So I absolutely love going on these walks, but everybody's different. You got to figure out what do you do, because health is wealth. And not only just going on walks or journaling or listening to music, but you also got to watch what you eat, right? Because these toxins in your body, the things that you're eating, are also controlling your mindset. So the more things that you can eat that put you in alignment of a positive state that allow you to be your most productive self, that's what you got to be thinking about, right? So don't eat all of that junk food, right? Make sure that you find things that allow you to keep your energy high, but more importantly, that allow you to feel like that you're moving at your best all times of the day, or at least as much as you can. Next up, we got start small, but start today. I love the quote. The best investment that you ever could have made was in real estate 20 years ago. The second best investment is today. Anything that you invest in today, if you can wait it out, compound interest wins. Now, of course, that means that you got to make sure that it was a calculated investment. But compound interest, if you're investing into something that is low risk, high reward, like index funds, real estate, eventually you will win out. So make sure that you're making the correct investment, but more importantly, make sure that you're making an investment today, right? Whether that's a skill, whether that's a business, it doesn't matter what it is, you got to start making some investment today. Next up, don't chase money, chase growth. So many things in life. You're going to have money come and it's going to go. You're going to feel like you're on top of the world some days and you can't lose. You're going to feel like everything's falling in the sky the next day and you can't get a win. Remember, wins and losses, it comes with being a boss. Don't chase the money, chase the growth. Chase 1% better every single day. When you look at it over the course of the year, if you could tell yourself that you got 365% better, that's all you could really ask for. Stop caring what other people think. This is very important, because you got to remember, people's opinions, they will fade. Some days people will love you, some days people will hate you. But you also got to remember, you had a purpose before anybody had an opinion. So remember, you don't care about what other people say, you just know who you are and what you stand for. Next up, we got, if you don't know what to work on yourself. If you can't find a business that you like, find a way to like yourself more. And the reason why I say that is because we all have things in our lives that we want to do, but because we don't know who we are and we don't know what we're striving for, a lot of the times that creates tension. So you have to go deep into yourself. If you don't know who you are, it'll be very tough for you to ever figure out what do you want out of life. So if you don't know what to do, figuring out who you are can solve the problem. Next up, be intentional about your time. Understand that time is your most valuable asset. It's the only thing you can't get more of. We can make more land, we can start new businesses, we can never get more time. So every day that you're here on this earth, understand that you're not here for a long time, you're only here for a good time. That means you got to be intentional about your time. Next, we got understanding that speaking is a superpower. It's something that I've been very grateful and blessed to have. But if you understand how to speak, how to articulate whatever your vision or your dream is, that will open up so many doors for you that it removes 80% of your troubles. If you don't know how to articulate your vision, it's going to be hard for other people to understand it. So work on investing into your speaking abilities. Maybe that means you need to take some improv classes. Maybe that means that you got to be able to get into more rooms where you feel uncomfortable. I don't know what it is, but you got to work on your speaking, because speaking is a superpower. Next, we got network like your life depends on it. Why? Is because it does. I want you to know relationships are going to be able to get you into rooms that money never could. right? It's all about relationships. Early on, start you a podcast. Figure out what do you love to talk about, but more importantly, use it as therapy and use it as coaching. Go get you some guests on there, share their mission, share their dream, but ask the questions that you wish that you had the answers to when you were even younger. More importantly, ask the questions that you know other people have the answers to, because that's how people will start to become a part of your tribe, because they feel like you understand them and you speak for the people. Because you're asking the right questions. You understand what they're wondering, what they're thinking, and you got an opportunity to have access to these people. It's only right that you bring the information back to your people. So make sure that you're always networking. Your network determines your net worth. Next, we got learn the art of storytelling. Understand this concept. Facts tell, stories sell. At the end of the day, everything relies on a good story. A good movie, a good podcast, even a great song. If it has stories behind it, that's how we'll connect to it. That's how we'll relate to it. As you're even becoming bigger in your faith, you got to be able to learn the stories of the Word of God, right? You got to be able to learn the stories of the book. Why? So you can attach meaning to it, so you can have perspective around it, but it all starts with the story. The limiting beliefs that you have in your head most likely are attached to a story. But if you can figure out how to trump those by attaching a new story to it, it will change your beliefs, which will change your habits. So everything is about storytelling. Once you learn the framework of how to tell a great story, you'll also be able to kill it in every room that you're in, because people love to be captivated and listen to great stories. Learn to be a great storyteller. Next, we got prioritize being productive over just being busy. I remember when I first got into the business of real estate, I always thought that, man, if I was busy, I was moving, I was shaking, that means at the end of the day, I was going to be able to feel proud. But I noticed that you could be running a lot, but you could be running in circles. You got to focus on what are the RGA every single day. What's RGA? Revenue generating activities. So focus on being productive. Focus on building relationships. Focus on moving that needle across the finish line. That's all that really matters. If it doesn't concern you in terms of what your value is, what you're worth, that means that you got to let it go and you got to find somebody else that could do that. If it's a $20 an hour task and you know that at this time you're worth $100 an hour because you've calculated it, that means that you got to go find somebody else to do that task. Why? Is because it allows you to be more productive. Focus on being more productive rather than just being busy. Next, we got don't just follow your passion. Passion is great because it'll keep you going through it when times get tough, but you got to develop a skill. Soft skill, hard skill, you got to develop a skill because that's what'll get you paid. It's easy to monetize your passion, but what keeps you going is that you have a skill that can solve a problem. So early on, figure out what's the skill that you want to develop. What's the skill that you want to be the best in the world at? Whether it's speaking, whether it's building funnels, whether it's coding, doesn't matter what it is, figure out what's that skill for you. That could be drawing, that could be entertaining. It doesn't matter what is that skill, and go so deep into that because nobody could ever take that away from you. It might be working with your hands. It doesn't matter what it is. Develop a skill and then monetize that and make sure that you got some type of love around that skill because that'll keep you going when times get tough. Next up, we got master your emotions. If you can remain emotionless, especially when it comes to business, that's the way that you'll be able to win in life. But it doesn't even need to pertain to just business. This could be on a personal level as well. That means that you got to focus on responding rather than reacting. Why? Is because when you focus on response, you're going to take a second, you're going to take a deep breath, you're going to think about your actions before you take them. When you focus on just reactions, most of the time that comes because of emotion, and that'll put you in a state of regret at the end of the day. You'll do something that you're not proud of, and then you'll find yourself having to apologize for it, or even worse, you'll do something to yourself. So make sure that you master your emotions. Next, we got make sure that you invest into your people. The more people that you can invest into around you, the more you'll grow, the faster that you'll grow. A lot of the times, everyone starts off, they're trying to be entrepreneurs, but they never actually graduate from being a solopreneur. Why? Is because they never invest into those around them. One of the best books that I've ever read on this, and I hope that you read on this, is called Who, Not How. Another book that is absolutely phenomenal is called The Dream Manager. The quote that I always love out of that book is, what happens if we invest into them and they leave? And the manager comes back and says, well, what happens if we don't and they stay? Remember that. You got to invest into your people around you. The more you invest into them, the more they'll take care of you. Lastly, understand that your habits develop your attitude and ultimately your altitude. The habits that you create today will be the success that you have for 3, 6, 9, even 20 years from now. That's why going to the service, the military, is so great, because it focuses your mind on discipline and habits. That's what you need to be focused on. Make sure that you have the right habits, because if you do, those habits will eventually weigh out when you don't have the motivation. So that's all we got on this one. I know it's been a little bit longer, but I tell you, I love doing these because this is an opportunity of one day, hopefully my son sees this, my daughter sees this, or my grandkids sees this. And this is exactly what I would tell to my younger 20-year-old self. Let me know, which one of these would you tell to your younger 20-year-old self? Or even better yet, what would you tell your younger self if none of these are what you would say? Would love to hear it. Drop it down below. Remember, dream builder, in a dream we trust, but you got to take action on something. Otherwise, that dream that you have, it'll only merely be a fantasy. That's all for this one. We'll catch you on the next one.